Hello and welcome. Carrie here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. And today I am thankful, grateful, blessed, honored to have Dr. Georgia Eid on the channel. And Adam, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Welcome. It's really, really nice to be with both of you. I feel very, very honored to be here with you today.
We are absolutely honored to have you here. We're so thankful that you're a big part of our documentary. Mental health is the reason that I decided to do this documentary in the first place. And it's a common thread through most of the people we've interviewed, over 60 at this point. So we've talked before about your book. I just want to shout it out one more time. Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. I absolutely love that book. I'm not giving Dr. Georgia Eid a hard time, but I just wish you wrote it a long time ago. If I would have found that years ago, but it's giving so many people hope, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
That's exactly what I know your film is going to do as well. I mean, your film is going to actually reach so many more people than the book, because I think film just speaks a different language that reaches more people in more ways. And so I'm really, really excited to see it.
I can't wait to share it. I'm excited. So today we're going to talk a little bit and hear Dr. Eid's story. We're going to share our first trailer that we did some time ago, and then we're going to share our brand new trailer, which we're really excited to share. Dr. Eid is in the new trailer, but she hasn't seen it yet. So we're going to get to watch it live. Hopefully Dr. Eid likes the trailer. We'll see. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's a good little teaser. So maybe Dr. Eid, if you could, for those that aren't familiar with your work, could you tell us a little bit about your background and your story?
I'm a psychiatrist. I've been a practicing psychiatrist for 25 years. And the first 10 years of my practice, I practiced the usual way with medications and psychotherapy. Really enjoyed doing that. Loved my work. But the problem, of course, became that I noticed that most of my patients just weren't getting that much better, no matter how hard I worked, no matter how hard they worked. And so, and then for my own purely selfish reasons, I started exploring nutrition because I was starting to have some of my own health issues in my early 40s. I'm 60 now, so this is quite a while ago. So in my early 40s, I started to have a lot of the problems that a lot of my patients have. Especially my middle-aged and older patients, I really didn't know how to help them with, things like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and IBS and migraines. And it was really impairing my quality of life, my ability to work, and had all the tests. Everything was normal, but all the doctors said, go home, eat a high fiber diet, exercise. And I did. I was already doing all of those things. And so they said nothing's wrong, but of course something was wrong. So I just started instinctively experimenting with my diet and keeping a food and symptom journal. And over about the course of 6 months or so, I ended up purely through trial and error at this diet that was almost upside down and backward from what we're told is the right way to eat. So it's a mostly meat diet, very high in cholesterol, high in fat, very low in fiber. I was eating very few plants at that point because I felt better when I eliminated almost all of them. And it was a huge turning point in my mind and in my career. I became fascinated by nutrition. I couldn't understand why this diet that I was taught should kill me was the diet that restored every aspect of my mental and physical health. I mean, not just those physical symptoms, but the thing that got my attention as a psychiatrist was I wasn't even trying to improve my mental health. I didn't think it was that bad. But actually my mental health improved really tremendously. Mood, energy, concentration, mental stamina, sleep, productivity, anxiety. And I think that's why so many people are walking around with suboptimal mental health and they don't realize it. We've just come to expect so little from our brains and bodies because we're feeding ourselves the wrong way. So of course we're not feeling good. So that's the long and short of it, I guess. And so that's what led me to study nutrition. And that's what led me to now I practice, it's been 15 years or so now, I've been practicing nutritional and metabolic psychiatry using dietary changes to help people improve their mental health.
It's amazing. It's been the most profound change in my life. I was on antidepressants for 10 or 15 years. I tried everything, and this was the only thing that's really healed me. But I guess more so than myself, Adam and I have been traveling all over the world filming people, and it's been the common thread with everyone. We film this person because they have type 2 diabetes, or this person for another reason, but all of them report just amazing improvements in their mental health. I didn't realize I was anxious before. I didn't realize I had depression. Brain fog is another big one that they didn't realize they had either. It's some people get kind of mad, Dr. Eid. It's interesting. Like, you mean I could have felt this way my whole life? And I'm only doing it now. Yeah, it's kind of sad when you think about it that way.
Well, I mean, for some people, there is a very strong grief reaction and even anger. When they discover how much better they can feel when they follow these very simple food rules that make perfect biological sense if you think for 5 minutes about it. Yeah, it's really, there are some people who experience a lot of grief and a lot of anger. There are other people that are just, thrilled to be able to tap into their full potential. So, what's wonderful about your film is that hopefully you're going to be able to reach so many people sooner than I'm really, the reason I wrote the book is I'm just tired of people having to accidentally stumble into these interventions.
Yeah.
And after years of trying medicine after medicine after medicine, sometimes even surgeries and procedures and, transcranial magnetic stimulation and electroconvulsive therapy, there are lots of treatments in psychiatry that don't help most people and that come with, quite a lot of side effects, medical risks, and, decreased quality of life, decreased length of life, tremendous metabolic problems. So even when the treatments that we have work, which they don't work very well in many cases, even when they do help, there's a price to pay, and that goes beyond what you pay out of pocket. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, and it's often a lot of side effects and, a decrease in your quality of life, your length of life, and your metabolic health.
Right. Well, I have a question since we last spoke. I talked to so many people and many new carnivores, and most of them experience pretty remarkable changes in their mental health. But every now and then I'll talk to someone like, I've been doing carnivore for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and I'm not experiencing those changes. I still have depression. I still have anxiety. What sort of conversations can you have with someone like that?
Yeah. So first of all, there can be some troubleshooting steps that help, and I've put quite a few of those in the book. We can also talk about some of those if you want. So sometimes it's a matter of tweaking the diet to either get into ketosis or remove foods that might be bothering somebody, those kinds of things. But the other truth is that dietary changes, even the best available dietary changes are not going to help everybody. They do help most people, and they help the vast majority of people. So the vast majority of people, when they implement changes like this, feel substantially, meaningfully better, often in multiple ways, many ways they weren't even expecting or aiming for. But we still don't understand everything there is to understand about mental health. We still don't understand all of the root causes of mental health conditions, and some of them are not grounded in nutrition. So maybe there was a traumatic brain injury in the past, or a very serious trauma in your past, because a very serious trauma can rewire the brain in ways that sometimes can be hard to completely reverse. Maybe you had a really early life nutrient deficiency that was critical during a particular window of development. And maybe you've had a toxic exposure and you need additional testing and additional types of care. So there are many, many other reasons why a person may experience a mental health condition that do not involve nutrition. But honestly, I can count on one hand after all these years of working with hundreds of people, I can count on one hand the number of people who have not noticed significant improvement in their mental and physical health when they change their diet in these ways.
It's amazing. What has this been like for you, for your career? Because it sounds like you were getting a little frustrated early and then you found this. And now, like I said, we've interviewed so many people, and it's remarkable some of the trauma and suffering that people have been through physically. But almost all of them are like the depression was the true hell on earth. Like it was worse than everything. So to be able to get relief from that, what's it like for you when you're able to work with a patient and help them find that relief or healing?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, that's exactly why everybody I know who's a psychiatrist went into the field in the first place. You went into this field to try to help people. You went into this field to try to understand the root causes and work together with somebody to bring them to, relief and, to be able to reach their full potential. That's why all of us went into psychiatry. And so when that happens, it's everything. I mean, it's the only reason why I practice psychiatry is to help people feel better, and when I was practicing the other way, I mean, a lot of what I did meant something to people, but most people were still struggling so much that honestly, I mean, what was happening for me and for so many of my colleagues, I certainly was not alone in this, is that our practices were just filling up with people that weren't getting that much better. So they're coming in for refills, they're coming in for support, supportive contact. And we're just kind of bearing it with them and bearing witness and doing the best we can to, stick with them through whatever pain and suffering they're going through. But at a certain point, you have to be honest with somebody and say, I can't think of anything else. I'm afraid there aren't any other medicines. I've run out of medication ideas. You've tried, 5 different therapists in town. And this was a really, really tough conversation to have with people. And it was a conversation that I'd had quite a few times because the conventional treatments don't work very well. And they leave too many people with too little relief. So when you see someone or feel someone or hear somebody get better, that's everything, and it's everything to me and it's everything to them. So it just can't be, I wish more psychiatrists could have this experience, because the way I practiced before, it was not something that I had access to. And now I hear people say things like, I've never felt better in my entire life. They don't just say, oh, my symptoms are a little better. Oh, I can get a little earlier in the morning. I can get a little bit more work done. I'm not crying all the time. They're not saying that their symptoms have been reduced. They're not even saying that their symptoms are gone, which I never saw in practicing conventionally. They're saying, not only are all the symptoms gone, but it's not the absence of symptoms. It's the presence of well-being, thriving, really reaching your full potential and being effective in your life, being truly happy, calm, stable, focused energy. I mean, that's what these interventions can bring to most people who try them.
It's so powerful what you just said there too, because that makes me think back when I was horribly depressed. I was just like, if I could just be normal like other people, just baseline, like not miserable, I would be happy. But what actually happened is what you just described. I'm like on the polar opposite end of whatever hopeless depression is. I'm just full of joy and gratitude. And I see that for so many people that are doing this. I also think it's incredible too that if you're able to help someone in this way, they're basically fixing their metabolic health. And when you fix your body, you fix your brain, you fix your spirit, all of those downstream things. So many people are so happy right now in the moment, but then when you start thinking, what about the long-term effects of having proper metabolic health, not having chronic inflammation for years and years and decades? It's hard to measure what you're doing when you're healing someone that way. But if you think about the long term and growing old and thriving in old age without mobility issues and maybe avoiding dementia or Alzheimer's or diabetes or all of those things that we're seeing so often, it's pretty amazing when you think about the long-term effect.
But exactly, it's the opposite trajectory from conventional care for mental health as well as physical health. So in mental health, many of our treatments compromise length of life, quality of life, people pay a price in terms of side effects. And, often people just don't feel good. Their mood is very flat, or, they don't feel motivated. They don't feel like themselves. And not to mention all the physical side effects and type 2 diabetes and obesity and sexual side effects and all kinds of other, these are big deal for people, and a lot of people gain dozens of pounds on some of the medications that we prescribe in psychiatry. That's almost impossible to lose. And so these are huge prices to pay for the small amounts of relief people are getting. So that's the opposite trajectory. So when you use these interventions, the way I used to practice was I would be monitoring people. I'd be, ordering lab tests and meeting with them. And what I'm doing is I'm always paying attention to, I'm looking for side effects. I'm looking for, is their blood sugar going up? How much weight have they gained? Are they, every visit I would be asking about side effects. And now what I do in my work is I'm looking for side benefits. So like, what else went well? What else did you notice? What else surprised you? And it's just the complete opposite from practicing the usual way. And it's really joyful practicing this way. And it's really empowering. So the way I practiced before, I was kind of in charge, and, I had all these, medications at my disposal and the power to prescribe them and writing prescriptions and ordering lab tests. And, I worked very collaboratively still, but there was this, I'm going to help you with this intervention, and you are going to follow my instructions and come back when I ask you to come back. It's not like that when you practice this way. I cannot change your diet for you. Only you can do that. And so you're in control, and you have so much more power than you realize over your mental health, so much more control. And so, I can try to tap into your motivation and explain how it works, but only you can do this. And the beauty of that is that when people get better, they own it, right? They did it, right? And they're proud of it. It builds confidence. And it's something that they can see for themselves. Wow, I had no idea I could feel this much better. And then they have the choice to make, and still not everybody makes this choice. Am I going to keep going with this? Is this worth it to me? How much is this worth it to me? And there's a lot of psychotherapy and supportive interaction that goes on around those decisions too, because changing diet is hard. But if you can support people through the transition, because the first few weeks can be challenging, and you can get to the other side together, and they can actually experience what it's like, that different state of mind, then they've got real world experience to draw from. They can say, oh, wow, this isn't just you telling me that this might work and I should try it. I can see what it's doing, can feel what it's doing. My family can feel what it's doing. My friends can see it. And wow, this is a big deal. I need to figure out how I can continue to live this way.
I love it. So Dr. Eade's book is Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. It's incredible. I highly recommend it. Adam, what do you think? Should we show the first trailer?
Yeah. And then I want to get into a little bit about metabolic mind when we come back from that.
All right.
Yep.
All right, Dr. Eade, are you ready? I think you've seen this one already, but
okay.
For those that are watching, we got a big audience watching now. This is our first trailer for Healing Humanity. After we filmed and finished this trailer, we filmed Dr. Eade. And so Dr. Eade will be in the second trailer we'll show shortly after. So here's the first one.
I've been a doctor for nearly 30 years now.
We've all been misled for so long.
They gave me pills for anxiety. They gave me pills for depression.
Our bodies are so deficient and so malnourished that of course you're going to get diseases. Of course you're going to get sick.
I believe that I may have caused my cancer.
It is no way to live. It's a nightmare.
I was just so hopeless for so many years. It just kills me to know that the answer was out there the whole time.
Just because you put something in your mouth and chew it doesn't make it food. Food is species specific.
We can sit back and we can say the bloody doctors, it's not their fault. They were trained and they're doing what they were trained to do.
The thing that really pisses me off is that the people that we should have been able to trust, the literal organizations that we look up to protect us, are the people who have done the majority of the misleading.
I'm 82 years old, which is just a chronological number. So you put the right fuel in the engine and the engine works.
I've now transitioned from a disease manager to a disease healer. I've transitioned from a drug dealer to a healer.
3 weeks ago, I didn't know this man, Bill, from Alaska. Bill is 700 pounds and he's been stuck in his house for 4 years. You nervous?
I'm nervous, scary. I live in Alaska, the most incredible place on the planet. I had to have a toilet put, a few feet from my bed, which I can barely walk to as is. I have not been outside in over 4 years. This is life or death for me. I'm sorry, Gary. I'm sorry about that.
Here.
Man,
Thanks, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, for the first time in a long, long time, I'm looking towards the future, which I've not had in such a long, long time. It's just the most incredible feeling.
There we go. Bill Knott. Hey, Bill's in the chat now too. Hey, Bill.
Hey.
Bill said he's going to order Dr. Ead's book.
Well, Bill, I'll order your book. Write a book, Bill.
Yeah, Bill has a lot of fans out there. He's really, really something. Incredible story. And part of the reason we have a new trailer, Dr. Ead, is because we couldn't keep up editing with the pace of Bill's progress. He was down 200 pounds there. He's approaching half the man he used to be. He's almost 350 pounds down from his start.
Wow. Amazing, Bill.
Yeah, he's incredible. And we filmed him on day one, and then we went back a year later. And there's a little bit of Bill in the second trailer, but the big part of the story of the documentary is Bill's kind of reveal 1 year later out in the beauty and freedom of Alaska for the first time in several years. So we're excited to share that with everyone.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see that.
So, Georgia, I had a quick question for you. So we have a mutual friend, the documentary, and yourself in Metabolic Mind, and they have absolutely incredible content over there. I just watched a series with you and Brett Shear. That was absolutely phenomenal. I loved every minute of that series. I recommend everyone go and check that out. So I was just wanting to know, basically, what is your involvement with Metabolic Mind, and how did you come to be with partner with them?
Was that the series on treatment-resistant depression, Adam?
Yes.
Yeah. So spoiler alert, treatment-resistant depression is the norm because the treatments aren't usually the correct treatments. And so that's the problem. So we go into a lot more detail, of course. Thank you for watching it and for letting people know about it. So I now work very closely with Metabolic Mind. We've known each other and worked together for a long time in various different ways, really over the past several years. But now I work more closely with them this year to spend more time on podcasts, to review content, to give input about projects, and we've got some exciting developments coming down the pike in the next few months that I can't tell you about yet. But we're working on some really important projects together that I'm very, very excited about. And so for people who don't know what Metabolic Mind is, it's a wonderful nonprofit initiative of the Bazuki Group, spearheaded by the incredible Jan Ellison Bazuki. who is passionate and extremely insightful and intelligent about the relationship between metabolic and health and mental health. And the reason why is because her son, Matt Bazuki, had tried, 29 different medications, been in and out of hospitals, had his college career interrupted by severe bipolar disorder with psychotic features. And that was now, I believe, about 5 years ago. And he's now thriving on a ketogenic diet. And that was really the turning point for him. And so that, when she saw the transformation in her son, when nothing else had helped, and this is a family that has every resource at their disposal to be able to help their son, which many families don't, right? They had access to all of the best physicians, all of the best facilities, all of the best treatments, and it brought minimal relief for this young, very talented, very intelligent, wonderful man. So what brought him back to life, and now he's living a full and rich life now. He's 28. He's been in remission for I believe it's 5 years now on a ketogenic diet. So this inspired her to try to spare other families around the world from having to go through this same nightmare, which is watching your child disintegrate in front of you and feeling completely powerless to do anything to help.
That's incredible. It's a beautiful story. It's really heartbreaking that he had to go through that suffering, and the family as well, but that they found that silver lining in that situation. And now they put this nonprofit together to help so many others. And I just love the fact that you're involved in that. I think that's a really great partnership.
I love the Metabolic Mind organization. I love their mission. I love what they're trying to do and what they are doing and accomplishing. They think big. They're really extraordinarily kind-hearted. Everything is free. Everything is made accessible. The language, the different formats that people can engage, the different ways people can engage with the information on the website. So there are videos. There are kind of workbooks that you can use. You can kind of follow other people's plans and try things out for yourself. There's a lot of, I think what's really, really special about Metabolic Mind is they bring not only world-class researchers from around the globe who are doing cutting-edge science in the field of metabolic psychiatry. They also bring people with lived experience as experts to share their hard-earned wisdom about what actually helped them get better. And then they teach everyone else, how it's done. So they lead by example. I think it's courageous. Not everybody feels comfortable sharing, their mental health story. So it takes special kind of courage to be able to do that. But I think that because these people actually experienced the real deep healing improvement, it takes a little less courage, because then you no longer identify with the mental health diagnosis that may have stigmatized you for so long, right? You can look back and say, well, I used to have these symptoms, and now, you know what I mean? So it no longer is such a core part of your identity. Now it's something you can look in the rearview mirror and say, oh, that was awful. It was terrible what I went through, but look at me now. And I wouldn't go back for all the tea in China.
It's amazing. I love that they're doing that. The shared experiences, those individual stories, I think are just so powerful. If you're going through depression or PTSD or one of those things, to be able to watch a video and hear from someone that's going through that same journey that you're going through, it's so powerful. It's an amazing resource. Recommend everyone check out Metabolic Mind for sure.
These are trailblazers. So the people with lived experience are trailblazers, and the researchers are trailblazers, right? And so, and you've got clinicians there too. So we've got clinicians, we've got scientists, we've got lived experience, we've got family members, we've got I mean, Jan Ellison Bazooki is kind of this, she has this incredible ability to bring people together, to work together rather than compete with each other, and to share knowledge, to share wisdom, and to empower and inspire and educate the world about these really powerful principles, and that are really, they're accessible to everybody, right? So everyone can change their diet in these ways. I mean, you may need, and in many cases you will need, a little special support in the beginning, but you don't need, years of specialists and 5-6 medications and special access to special equipment or special academic institutions. You don't need those things. These principles are relatively straightforward. It's just that the first few weeks can be a little challenging, especially if you are taking prescription medications or if you have medical conditions that when you're first switching on to these diets may need special monitoring and support. That doesn't mean that following a carnivore diet is dangerous. It means that it's a powerful intervention, and it's such a powerful metabolic and biochemical intervention that it changes blood sugar levels very quickly. It changes blood pressure very quickly. In many cases, it changes your physiology in really positive ways. So you want your blood sugar to come down. You want your blood pressure to come down. Those are just two examples of things that can happen in the first 24 hours of eating this way. So now if you're taking a medicine that also lowers blood sugar or a medicine that also lowers blood pressure, that's when it can be dicey, because now you've got the diet as a powerful intervention, trying to lower your glucose levels, and you've got the medication trying to do the same thing. You could quickly end up in the dangerous hypoglycemic zone unless you are working closely with the person who prescribes those medicines to make sure that you're tapering them down safely. So those are some of the challenges that can happen in the first few weeks, but they are so worth moving through and getting past, because if you can get to the other side, it really is a different state of mind. The eating this way fundamentally changes your brain's operating system. And so many people say, I don't even recognize my thoughts. I've never felt this way before. Who am I? Is this who I've always been?
Absolutely. Hey, we got some great comments coming in. Papa Carnivore said, Dr. Eat, I have your book and it is terrific. I bought additional books for my brother and sister. And
thank you, Papa Carnivore. If they don't find them useful, it makes a good doorstop.
He also added, Dr. Eat, I reversed my bipolar depression, chronic anxiety, and ADHD with high-fat carnivore. I've been off all my psych meds for 2 years and feel great. Carnivore cures.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Congratulations. 2 years. How many people in conventional care can say that?
Right. We got another comment here from Ginny. Changing my diet was hard, but the mental well-being I now have, and Dr. Ead's book changed my life.
Well, that just makes my day. I mean, that's why I wrote it. That's what I was hoping for. And so it makes me really, really happy, truly happy to hear that. Thank you for telling me that.
That's amazing. Well, what do we think? Should we show Dr. Ead the new trailer starring Dr. Ead?
Yeah, so you'll have to preface it, obviously,
Sure.
for those that are watching that don't understand that there's multiple trailers with the film normally. But before that, I want to get into a little bit of, I've seen a couple questions in there about, when will the film be released and things like that. So we're aiming for 2026, early 2026, and to potentially get into a couple film festivals so we can get it in front of large distribution networks like Netflix and Amazon. We feel like if we get it in front of them, we have a higher potential to get it into their subscription video on demand, which is actually listed on their platforms, because Joe Blow, who's sitting at home eating a bag of Cheetos and flipping through Netflix and happens to see our documentary, we don't want them to have to pay a transactional fee to actually rent the film. We want it to actually be listed as part of the subscription. Now, that being said, that's the hardest way to get listed is directly with these networks. So film festivals is a good way to try to build that relationship and make that happen. We're not leaving transactional video off of the table, but ultimately we will likely get to the advertising video on demand, which is a good example of that is YouTube, where you post a video and you're forced to watch ads throughout the film or whatever the video is, and then you can pull in revenue that way. The reason why it's important that we make at least some money back is because Carrie has a vision to have a series that has individual health topics afterwards, so that you can share, if a certain person in your family has diabetes and you want to share that episode with them, you can share that one specifically. So we need to try to bring in some income in order to pay for that effort. There's other platforms like Tubi and Pluto that are free as well, that have the ad mechanism built into that. So that's all things that we have to explore once we have a completed film, and we really can't have a discussion with distributors, aggregators, or producers reps until we have a completed film. We have made contact with one distributor, and they said that they were most definitely interested in distributing our film. So just based off of the trailer. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there and people understand, that this is a large process. We're still continuing to raise funds. We believe that we have enough to finalize the film. So we will have a finalized film for sure. And then we enter the marketing and distribution phase.
Yeah. And kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier, like with Metabolic Mind, we want it to be as accessible and far reaching as possible. It'll probably end up being a hybrid release where maybe it's in the theaters for a while and then it's here. But the ultimate goal is I don't want to stop till we reach millions of people. We want to reach as many people as we can, make it as accessible as possible. And we're really excited. We hit a major milestone. We filmed Dr. Sean Baker as our 60th interview. So we're completely done filming. We're totally in post-production right now, which is exciting. And we have, Adam, you can maybe share the stats because I'm bad with these numbers. I can't wrap my brain around them. But we have so much footage that we've already filmed quite a bit for the series that Adam mentioned, including what I'm most excited about, the mental health episode. We have enough content to probably do that entire episode. And then the aging episode, if everyone saw Maggie in the trailer there, everyone's a big fan of Bill and Maggie, but we've interviewed several other people on the aging front as well. So we have enough content to do that as well. Adam, what was the total numbers for what we filmed?
430 hours of footage and 5,500 clips, 4 countries, 48 actual individuals interviewed, and 60 interviews.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're tired.
Congratulations and thank you for doing that, because I think these stories get through to people in ways that no other, I mean, that's how we are designed. We're wired to learn, is storytelling, and a story can really change a person's life and stick with them for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing we found too is there's just this yearning. These individuals want their story to be told, and it's not even a selfish thing. They want their story to be told because they want other people to experience the healing that they've experienced, and that's a pretty remarkable thing. So yeah, we're excited to share this trailer we're about to show you guys. This is our new trailer. We showed the earlier trailer before. We're going to have another trailer before the documentary is completely done, and that's going to be a more sort of accessible trailer for the general public that maybe they're not familiar with keto carnivore. It's a tricky thing, approaching that sort of audience. This trailer, the intention of this trailer, you have lots of trailers and teasers and clips for different purposes. The purpose of this trailer we're about to show you was really to show the scope and scale of this project. Like Adam mentioned, we traveled all over the world. We've had so many amazing donors. This whole project has been 100% crowdfunded, lots of donations, and it's we wanted to show everyone, like, here's where all that went. Like, this is everything we've been doing, because a lot of people only saw the first trailer a year ago. They don't realize that we've literally traveled all over the world. So we try to show a little bit of the scope and scale, but the thing that really sets our documentary apart from others is what Dr. Eid mentioned. It's really the stories, the individual story. We're focused on that. We have 9 doctors and experts, including Dr. Eid, in the documentary. But our primary focus isn't science and then stories. Our primary focus is stories supported by the science. So stories are really at the core of this project. So Yeah, I guess with that said, we'll show it to you guys here. And this is Dr. Eads' first time watching it. So here we go.
When I walk into a grocery store and see thousands of items on the shelf, that does not register in my brain as food. And of course it's not. This has never been food to any human being for the entirety of human history.
We've been soaking up the wrong information for so long.
Everything I thought I knew about nutrition turned out to be wrong. And it doesn't take that long to figure it out if you look at the actual science.
Your body, even though you feel like it betrayed you years ago, you actually betrayed it.
I was following the rules and getting sicker for it.
I was hopeless. I was really hopeless, and I thought, yeah, this is the way it's going to be.
I don't think I would have made it. I honestly don't. I mean, I was 69 pounds, almost hooked up to a feeding tube.
I probably had 30 days left until I was dead.
My thought was, I'm going to die, and I'm not going to have a chance to tell everybody that I love them one last time.
It's just more pills and more pills and more pills and more sickness and more disease.
I look at people now on the street and I see them not doing well, and I just wonder what the food that they're eating is doing to them.
We're learning from our past way of eating that somehow we're damaged and diseased.
I want to live in a world where every doctor is not managing disease, but trying to get to the root cause of why people are sick in the first place.
That's what being a doctor's all about, isn't it? Being able to take somebody who's got no hope and give them hope. And it's a real hope. It's a true hope. It's not a false hope. I'm not interested in any other profession.
There you go, right in my face. Perfect.
I just remember being so excited about being alive again.
Changing my diet absolutely saved my life.
Plain and simple, I would not be here today.
I have my life back.
It was like with a new lens, new eyes, was using them for the first time.
Even though I'm 5.5 years in, I still wake up feeling impressed.
I felt the best I ever felt in my life.
I never thought I'd have a life. I really thought my life was over. And if I hadn't have found this lifestyle, that I would not be sitting here with you today. No way.
I'm 82 years old, which is just a chronological number.
Pull yourself up, you swing your leg over and you're over.
It's not healthcare, it's sick care. We don't need doctors if we're eating properly. We don't need medication.
There we go.
So many great people in that. And I love that right there at the end, I saw Professor Tom Seyfried, one of many, many people I respect and admire that you interviewed for that trailer. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. And I'm glad you mentioned Professor Seyfried. He was, we were never going to have cancer in the documentary. And then we did through Jeff DeProsperous, whose story is a huge part of our documentary. And then we went on to interview Professor Seyfried at Boston College. And we were honored to get to interview his whole team, like 4 or 5 people on his team. And subsequently, we've interviewed, I think, 4 or 5 other individuals with cancer, including Tammy Peterson, who was in there, who's been in remission from terminal cancer. I think she's going on 5 years now. She credits it to carnivore and mindset and prayer. And her story is incredible too. But yeah, we're so thankful to have cancer. We can have a whole episode on cancer now as well. And I feel like cancer is almost it's a cautionary tale for some people. From what I've learned from Professor Seyfried, a lot of people end up with cancer from having chronic systemic inflammation for years and years and decades. And most of us nowadays have that from the foods we're eating for years and years. And you see the cancer rates, we're losing 1,600 people every single day from cancer. It's just, it's mind blowing. So it's something that I think is applicable to everyone watching the documentary, almost as a cautionary tale. And sadly, so many of us have loved ones that we've lost from cancer as well. So,
you know, and it's become so common that we think of it as normal. You know, that, you know, one of the things we're probably going to die of, you know, cancer, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, dementia. But, you know, depression is the #1 cause of disability in the world, and it affects even very young people. And sometimes especially hits young people especially hard. And so some of these other conditions may not manifest until later in life, although they're coming earlier and earlier now, because we now even have, you know, children with obesity and type 2 diabetes and depression and anxiety disorders and taking psychiatric medications from a very young age. So, you know, when I was working in college mental health, it wasn't unusual at all. It became, in fact, more common with every passing year for first-year students to arrive on campus already taking 3 psychiatric medications and already having been in the hospital at least once. And you know, that's not normal. That's not normal.
Not normal. Yeah, when I found healing on carnivore, there was a point where I'm like, I'm a grown man, I can just move on now. But that's one of the things that's driven the passion for this project is the kids, this next generation.
Yeah.
Like you said, I really think history is not going to look back on us kindly when we see children walking around on medication and they're depressed, and children walking around with fatty livers now, as all of these issues younger and younger. It's a sad thing too, the way the human brain works, Dr. Eid, how we tend to normalize these things, and then we're just, well, that's just the way it is. But you take a big step back and it's like, this shouldn't be normalized. It's really kind of crazy.
No, it's horrific, but there, you're bringing up a good point, which is that, you know, one of the things that human beings are really good at is adapting to the situation. So it's like the frog in the boiling water, you know, the water temperature, you know, and so it's just like we look around and it's, you know, when I was a kid, I was one of only 2 overweight kids in my whole class. And now when I look out the window and I see kids walking to school, it's more than half of them. More than half of the kids walking to school are overweight or obese. It's so strange for me to see that. That was not the way it was when I was a kid. And so, you know, we're heading in the absolute wrong direction. And, you know, this is the future of our species, of civilization. You know, I mean, yes, it's important to improve our own individual health, but our community, society, I mean, everything rests on all of us being well, all of us being mentally well and having excellent brain health. And that is, for most of us, attainable. And for most of us, it is our birthright. You should expect your brain to work well for you, to function well for you, for your entire life, from the beginning to the end. Dementia is not normal. Depression is not normal. And none of these other conditions. I mean, we should be able to recover from stressful situations much more easily, more quickly than we do. We now think it's normal for something bad to happen, bad things happen, for something bad to happen, and for it to disable us for months or years or even for the rest of our lives and not be able to move past it. And so it's not as though these diets change your past. They don't change the very real traumas that you've gone through, the losses that you've sustained, or any of the stresses that are going on in your life right now. But because they change the way your brain functions, it allows you to be able to cope with those situations better and to be able to see them differently with more perspective and to be able to imagine more constructive solutions, more hope. You have more hope, you feel more effective, and you take action and you support others. And this is the way it feels when you have really excellent mental health. And when you don't, nothing goes right in your life. Relationships are harder. School is harder. Work is harder. Just getting up in the morning is harder, right? And so it's mental health is everything. And one of the other things that's crossing my mind as I'm thinking about this, you know, a lot of people who don't have mental health issues, although there aren't very many of those people left, a lot of people who don't have mental health issues they think, well, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, think a positive thought, you just get through this. It's nothing like cancer. It's nothing like, having a heart attack or something that's painful, and you can look at it and it's really disabling and it's really terrible, and you can see what's happening. You can't really see what's happening in the brain. So it looks like it might be easy to just kind of, just shake it off. But there is no worse pain in the world than emotional pain. Emotional pain is torture. And because it is harder to understand, and you try to figure out why, and you make up a narrative in your mind about why it is that you want to kill yourself, even though it may simply be that you had the wrong idea or information about what you were supposed to eat for breakfast that day. And so it's sometimes, and that might sound flippant, but it's actually true in a lot of cases. So the foods that we're eating are destroying our brains from the inside out. They're causing brain damage, and they are compromising the brain's ability to make energy, which it cannot perform properly without. And so it's a fundamental.
Yeah. Adam.
That's interesting that you brought up brain damage, because I think that's sort of, a lot of people don't look at it that way, right? They look at it as more like a chemical imbalance or something like that. But it actually, this high inflammatory state, it actually is causing damage to the brain, and most people don't understand that.
And it's hard because you can't see the brain. It's locked away in the skull. It doesn't have any nerve endings, so you can't feel that it's inflamed. You can't see that it's in trouble, and you can't feel it. So it's hard. It's really hard to kind of believe that that's what's going on. But all the researchers will tell you that that's exactly what's going on. There are all kinds of, there's information in the book about this galore, but there are all kinds of ways that we know that the brain is under attack simply by eating, for example, too much sugar or too much flour, eating too many cereal products, vegetable oils. If you're eating the so-called ultra-processed foods, but really just the wrong things, if you're eating the wrong things, your brain is undergoing attack from the inside out. And that damage accumulates over time. And so the beautiful thing about ketogenic and carnivore diets, carnivore diets in particular, is that all you're eating are the things that you need, that your cells need and can use. You're not eating any of the things that can compromise their ability to function. All plant foods come with some degree of risk. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to stop eating all plant foods, although that does work very well for many people. And I've done that myself for long stretches of time over the past 10 years. But people aren't aware that plant foods have real risks to their health. And understanding that not all plant foods are created equal, and that plants are far less nutritious than animal foods, that animal foods are far safer. They're the safest, most nutritious foods you can eat, and they're completely incapable of causing hyperglycemia, which is the thing that most people are walking around with most of the time, which is, high glucose levels, high blood sugar levels are toxic to every cell in the body. And so if you eat an all-meat diet, it is impossible for you to generate a glucose spike that's going to endanger any one of your cells. It's impossible. So why is it that we think that meat is so bad for us? It has all the nutrients we need in its proper form, highly digestible, and without any naturally occurring toxins or defensive molecules or anti-nutrients, and it can't cause a blood sugar spike that's going to damage all of your cells, glucotoxicity. What's not to love about eating that way?
I love how you put it that way too, because that was a big realization I had after doing carnivore for a while. I used to, when I first started, this is crazy, this is dangerous, because that's all I've been taught this whole time. But then when you get down to it, it's everything you just said is so true. It's just crazy how the reality for most people is the polar opposite of what is true. I've said it before, like I feel like carnivore, it's the most natural food we can eat given the 60,000 options in the grocery store. There's nothing cleaner, more nutriently rich and dense than eating like a fatty ribeye. It's literally the best thing we could eat, but it's so interesting how things are so backwards. It's literally the common perceptions, the polar opposite.
It really is. It's upside down and backwards. And you can see when you walk down the street or in a store or go to a movie or a show, you can look all around you and almost everybody you see is obviously very unhealthy. And they don't want to be that way. Nobody wants to be unhealthy. Nobody wants to be obese. Nobody wants to be depressed. Of course not. And most people think that they have that they know what a healthy diet looks like. But the information that we're given is actually destroying our health. It's dangerous to follow the US dietary guidelines. It's dangerous even to eat a Mediterranean diet, even though a Mediterranean diet is healthier than the even junkier standard American diet is. It is healthier, but not by much. You can do an awful lot better. So if you follow, and vegan diets are also very dangerous, very risky, especially for certain populations. And so it require an awful lot of special planning and knowledge and supplementation and so forth. So these are very risky diets. The safest diet, when you look at the biology of food rather than the ideology behind different dietary patterns, the biology, it becomes really simple to understand that meat is the safest food you can eat.
I love your message, Dr. Eid. We were talking about your tagline earlier, right, Adam?
Absolutely brilliant. It's so pithy and so like right to the point. It's absolutely genius, especially in this space. I would venture to say it's genius amongst all phrases in the world. Hope is on the menu. I mean, it's brilliant.
Hope is on the menu. Hope is on the menu.
I'll tell you where that came from. I was having a conversation with a patient that I was consulting with. I'd worked with her for, I want to say at least 6 months. And she really had, I mean, like so many people that I work with as a psychiatrist, had lost hope and just couldn't see her way past, couldn't see her way to feeling better, couldn't believe. I mean, when people are hopeless, it's hard for them to believe that anything is going to work, especially something as crazy sounding as, changing your diet in these ways that I recommend. And so, she was crying and feeling hopeless, and we were having this session, and that's how it just came out when I was talking to her, because I was trying to think, what can I say to her? What can I say to her to give her hope? And then whenever she would write to me struggling, whatever, I would send her that phrase back. So it just developed between the two of us. And I think that the reason why I wrote the book is to give people hope, because most people who have a mental health issue have either been told, either been led to believe, or they do believe because they're depressed that this is just how it's going to be, and they're just going to have to live the rest of their lives this way. That they've tried all the medicines, they've been in and out of the hospital, they've done psychotherapy, they've done meditation, mindfulness, they're walking, they're exercising, they're eating their high fiber diet, they're having their oatmeal with their blueberries in the morning, and they're thinking they're doing everything that they can do, and they think that diet doesn't matter because the mainstream advice about what a brain healthy diet is supposed to look like doesn't work. And so they'll make those changes and they won't see any difference. They'll think, well, oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, I guess that's not going to work for me either. I guess I'm just a really, really tough case. So I'm just going to go back to eating the way I want, because this isn't worth the effort. But if you make the right changes, so if you know which dietary changes are the ones that are worth making, and you apply those, that's where you see the big, big changes in people's mood and energy and concentration and sleep patterns and productivity and everything else. And then you can say, whoa, actually food makes a huge difference. Most people don't realize until they try it. And it really is just about trying it. So, someone in the chat had said, oh, your book changed my life. I wrote the book, but she's the one who changed her life, right? I talk with lots of patients who are not able to make these changes, right? It's not that everybody I talk to magically gets better. There are some people who get the information. They might try it for a little while, or they might try it half-heartedly, or just for pieces of it, or they might not come back because they can't even imagine, life without some of these foods. We could talk a lot about food addiction, which is actually, there's a conference next week in London. The International Food Addiction Conference is one of the conferences I'm speaking at this coming month. I'm actually leaving next week to do this. And it's going to be me and my wonderful friend and psychiatrist colleague, Dr. Albert Denat from France. We're gonna do a presentation together for this food addiction conference. And one of the wonderful things that he's going to be sharing with people, he's going to share two cases. One is an 8-year-old child, and one is a 24-year-old woman. Couldn't be more different. There's they have nothing in common, except very poor mental health and food addiction, and having quite a bit of weight to lose and being miserable. And one struggling at work, the other one struggling in school. And so, and they come from very, very different backgrounds. These two people, same dietary advice, doesn't just help them lose weight. It also resolves all of their mental health symptoms, even though they had multiple diagnoses, ADHD and OCD. And so you name your D, there are people who have many of these Ds. And so what does that mean about these diagnoses? If you can apply a nutrition principle to, if you have 10 people with mental health problems, multiple different diagnoses, and you give them all the same diet, and this is what actually Dr. Denat did in his study in France. You take multiple people with so-called treatment-resistant mental illnesses, who have been suffering for years, decades in some cases, who have already taking multiple medications, been in and out of the hospital. You put them all on the same diet, a very low carbohydrate whole foods diet. In this case, was not a carnivore diet, it was a very low carbohydrate whole foods diet, quite simple. And all of them improve. What does that mean about these diagnoses? What does that mean about the root causes? I mean, how many people with mental health conditions could have had all of that misery prevented? To what extent are mental health conditions preventable? To what extent are mental health conditions rooted in simply feeding ourselves the wrong way?
That's so powerful. I'm so happy you're doing all of this work, and I'm so grateful that you shared your story in our documentary, and the work you're doing with your book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. It's hope is on the menu. I love it. It's you're humble. I love what you say. Like, people are taking their lives in their own hand, and they have to do that, and they do it. But you're offering them hope and a tool that many people wouldn't have had otherwise. And I think that's so powerful to be able to have hope when you're hopeless, and have another tool in the toolbox. That's, like Dr. Barry said in the trailer, it's a true hope. It's a real hope. It's something they can do. So we're so grateful for you in the documentary. I can't wait to share it with you and the world. We're on the home stretch. So Dr. Eid, where can people follow you if they want to learn more, or follow you on social media?
So on social media, I'm on most platforms at Georgia Eid MD, and the website is diagnosisdiet.com, or you can just type my name into Google and a bunch of things come up. It's EDE is my last name, but I really want to thank you guys. I mean, I am from the minute I heard about your project and the kind of work you were doing, I was sold hook, line, and sinker on your project. I love what you're doing. It's really going to cut through a lot of the noise, because it is, centered on people's human stories, and that's how I think that's really the easiest way to change minds. And so I'm very, very, very grateful to you for all of the hard work. You're traveling around the world and interviewing people and putting this together. And I think it's going to be really compelling. And I really hope that it gets picked up in a way that allows as many people as possible to see it for little to no additional cost.
Absolutely. I'm on a mission. I'm not going to stop till we reach millions of people. If I got to go door to door, hand it out. We're gonna get it out to the world. But yeah, we're excited. We got a lot of. It's turning into kind of a movement. There's so many people are excited about this project now and are behind us, and the community's been incredible. So yeah, we're very excited about it, and we're very thankful to have you in it because, like I said, the huge thread that runs through the entire documentary is mental health, and so you're a big part of this. So thank you so much, Dr. Eid.
It's an honor. I'm really excited about it. Congratulations. I can't wait for it to be released into the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dr. Eid. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for your wonderful comments and questions. Real quick, if you guys missed the trailer, you want to watch it again, you can watch it at healinghumanity.movie. A lot of people in the comments are asking, how can we help? The best way is share the trailer, share your story, be an example to your family. But you can share the trailer at healinghumanity.movie. We have a newsletter there that's completely free. You can sign up there. We won't send you anything unless it's important updates like our new trailer or when the documentary is live. And any donations we get from GoFundMe can be done at healinghumanity.movie as well. And 100% of that goes to the documentary. Don't get a paycheck. This is a passion project, and we're on the home stretch. We couldn't be doing it without you. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Eid. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Adam. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.